Good morning and welcome back to Beto Kama Podcast. Yeah, we have the beautiful, illustrious, Bookish and Fed, Miss Elizabeth, everybody. And then you have me, the
The
funny.
beautiful and amazing and magnificent Collette.
Stop. And so today we are doing a book review for The Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Day. Yeah, by Kimberly Lemming.
Which is really Collette, y'all. Collette really wrote this book. She just hasn't told us. She's sitting on some stacks. And all her sisters and her brother and her mom and dad need to hit her up because she wrote this book, bestseller. If you read it, you see Collette all up in it. She wrote it. Oh, the glare. Oh, there we go.
So, the synopsis of this book. What kind of Cinnamon. I can't even do it. Cinnamon, she does not like adventure. She wants to stay in her small podunk town and get drunk and work her cinnamon field. And she's straight. Yes, she minds the cinnamon field.
Her family.
Mm-hmm. Her brothers are named Chili and Cumin.
She had a sister. What was the sister's name?
Terry.
Yeah.
Okay, her best friend is a cheesemaker. Her name is Bree. That's it. So one night they're having a festival because in their town, the goddess, is it? Every 15 years. Yes. Every 15 years she calls upon a hero from the city to go and fight these demons that she has banished to this cold, desolate place. We're going to call it Antarctica.
Yep. So she set up temples.
Yes.
Throughout that protect these places from the demons that are always trying to attack. So she's their savior.
Correct. And she's going home from the festival after sending the heroes off, as they're called.
Wait, pause. Because she did not want to get picked for this because they randomly pick people. So her and her friend Bree go out of their way to look ridiculous so they don't get picked because they want their heroes to look good and all of that. So Collette it's not an exaggeration when we say this woman does not like adventures. Like she doesn't even want to go outside. Collette.
Yeah, that's me. Because, fresh air be attacking me, y'all.
No. No. Not how that works.
Totally how that works. So, she's walking home from the drunken night of party and debauchery. And she hears a sound. Oh, no, somebody tries to mug her. And he's not the brightest light in the box.
At all.
She could see his face, and then she was I can't even remember his name. She was like, "Sean, is that you?" He was like, "No, I'm a random mugger from out of town." And she was like, "I know it's you." And then he was like, "You don't know anything, Cinnamon." She was like, "Well, how do you know my name if you're a random mugger from out of town?" And he was like, "Lucky guess." So she starts chasing him because that's what I would do. Because how dare you attack me, even though we live in the same city, jerk. So she runs through the woods. She's chasing after him. He gets away. She hears a sound, and she goes to help someone that was under like a fall in a cave in or something. And that is the demon that she saves. His name is something. What's his name, Liz? Exactly. Fallon. That threw me because every time I read Fallon, I kept thinking a girl.
I watched this show called Schitt's Creek, and her name is Fallon.
Yeah. So she saves Fallon. He starts chasing her because he's a demon. And
but he does. And he's trying to figure out, like, he's just going crazy chasing her.
Yeah. Like he can't even get a hold of himself. And then she runs through her maze of a field, cinnamon field. And
Doesn't she whack him?
Yeah, she hits him with a cluster of cinnamon, and it stuns him.
And she runs away.
Yeah. And she runs away, and she's telling her family. Her family thinks she's just drunk, so they don't pay her any mind. It's like, girl, you made that up. That's not it. So in the morning, she's talking about it with her brothers, Cumin and what's his name? Cumin and
Chili.
Why are these the names? So she's talking about it with Cumin and Chili, and then the demon is at the door, like, "Hey, girl, what was that you hit me with?" And the whole family is like, "Oh shit, you really were being attacked by a demon, but like he's talking and functioning. Why are you talking to us and not killing us?" And then they end up going on an adventure from there. Elizabeth, proceed.
Okay, so they're all sitting at the table. He calls them bombard, which is something from her people. Yeah. And they tell stories, and all of their story people. They know songs, stories, all of that. So he shows her respect because of this. So then she's like, okay, he can stay for breakfast. While they're at breakfast, they start talking about who he is and the goddess. And he's like, wait, goddess? She's not a goddess. I don't even, a leech is what they call it. Lich.
Yeah.
So basically she's like a demon witch. That's bad. And he's like, so she put this curse on us that we just go crazy and we can't control ourselves and all of this stuff. But somehow when this beautiful creature over here slapped me with some cinnamon, it snapped me out of that daze that your goddess had me on. So here's what we need to do. We need to go to each temple and break her chalice, because that is...
He doesn't know yet. He thinks it's just the one.
Oh, yeah. He's like, we need to go to her temple. You're right. We need to go to her temple and break the chalice so that it breaks the curse and everything gets set back to normal and I could kill her because she's evil. And... yeah. Cinnamon's like, oh yeah, that sounds all great. That sounds wonderful. Have fun doing that. And he's like, no, you're going with me.
Yeah. He's like, if you don't go, I'm going to kill everybody.
He threatens her family, and we'll come back to that later on in the book.
Yeah.
He threatens her family, so she's like, fine, I have no choice. I don't even like adventuring. I don't like to go outside because I don't like adventures. But here I am, sucked into an adventure. So from there... they start to packing. Little Miss Cinnamon is like packing all these spices, all these rubs, all this. And he's like, we don't need all that. She was like, I need seasoning in my life. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
We're taking it. So they start on their journey. And they start going through the woods to leave their little town of Boohale.
Yeah.
Okay. When they go to leave the town, here comes this schmuck to try to attack Cinnamon, which just so happens to be the older brother to the guy who attacked Cinnamon when she was walking home in her drunken phase from seeing her friend Brie from the festival, where they were not chosen to be heroes because they dyed their hair pink. So he confronts her. He's like, hey, I heard. And of course, there's a lot of banter. So I'm just glossing over it. The banter, amazing. You guys need to read the book for the banter alone. It's hilarious. So anyways, the guy's like, yo, I heard you attack my brother. And she was like, first of all, your brother was in the woods attacking me and da-da-da-da. And he slaps her. Here comes the demon trying to save her. Fallon, come save me. He did. She didn't ask him to do that. She's very prideful right now. He just did it. He almost kills the guy. Did he break his arm off? I don't remember. He broke his arm. Almost broke it off. Like he could have broken it off.
He was about to rip it out the socket. And she was like, stop.
Yes. She's like, no.
I was going to kill him.
Humans.
Yeah. She's like, you don't kill humans. And he was like, why? He was attacking you. He's like, yeah, but like, he's a jerk. You don't kill him because he's attacking someone. Like, you don't do that. And he was like, I don't understand. If he's hurting you, he should die. Yeah. I personally agree with that. But, you know.
This is where she doesn't sound like Collette. This is what gave me pause. Like, okay, maybe Collette didn't write this because right now she would have been like, pull all his limbs off.
One by one. Mm-hmm.
So anyway. So from there, they go on their little horse and carriage ride.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, we got to stop because we have to eat. And this whole time he's teasing her. There's banter. It's great. Again, if you like banter, you got to listen. Yes. And go ahead, Collette.
And then they end up going into the forest. And he's always trying to touch her.
Always
trying to touch her. And she's like, bro, get up off me. This is why Liz thought it was me, because I'm go away from me. I'm gonna skip on you real quick. So he always tries to tell her ghost stories at night so that she will come sleep beside him. He does it every single night, and she's like, that's not real. That's not how it works.
What was it? The tall man or something like that?
The hungry man.
The hungry man.
He was like, yeah, well, you know, we can fight everything except for the hungry man. And she was like, well, what's the hungry man? It's like, you know, he's just so hungry. He eats everything. Souls, humans, whatever. We can't fight against it. He doesn't know itself. And then he was like,
I can't protect you.
Gentlemen, look out. And so she, he's like, she runs to where he is. And he was like, you want to sleep beside me? It's fine. Go ahead.
And this whole time she's trying not to run into the heroes from her town because one of them is her ex-boyfriend who dogged her, douchebag. And the other one is the town's little princess who's a little biatch. So she's trying not to run into them because now she's on the opposing team.
Right.
And she's like, I don't want to deal with this headache.
And
I want to deal with them on a regular day.
Yeah. And they have developed or, you know, been told over the years that the demons are bad. So.
And this is such an honor and, you know, all this stuff. Isn't this where she cooks for him for the first time?
Yeah. So she ends up cooking for him. She makes a crawfish boil. There we go.
It's your turn. It's your turn.
And he's like, why would I want to eat sea spiders?
Makes sense, though. Seafood was peasant food back in the day.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And she's like, boy, let me teach you about what this food is because you're bugging. You don't know what you're doing. So she makes it for him. He eats it up. He goes back to the seconds and thirds.
All the spices that he bitched about.
Yeah. Because
she used them.
Because she was in there cooking. She was like, nah, you got to put this seasoning in there. Let me drop this corn in this potato. Like she backed herself enough to cook meals.
She really gave you a whole recipe in the book. Honestly, if you read it, she tells you how to do it.
And then the next night, they're in the woods passing through because it takes 4 days to get from Buhale to the next city that they're going to. I can't remember the name.
Where the temple is.
Yeah. And so the next night, she is taking a bath in the river, and he comes in, and she's like, oh, I'm naked. He was like, all right. He's just, he says it. He was like, look, I haven't been around humans much, but like all of this, like, oh my God, I don't understand it. He's like, that makes no sense to me. What do you mean you can't? So she's taking a bath in the river or whatever, they're talking, and then she sees a log coming, but really it's an alligator coming up behind him. And she ends up killing the alligator. And he looks at her, and he looks at the alligator. He was like, so when I marry you.
Yeah, he was like, wait, that guy that I almost killed, is he
wait, he didn't even get there yet. He was like, so when I marry you, you're going to do that? And she was like, what? He was like, yeah, you said you were unattached. Matter of fact, I got it. Hold, please. He says you're unattached, right? And he was like, and I can protect you and I can save you. So, you know, all I have to do is mark you and then we'll be in our honeymoon phase. And she was like, of course that, he says, of course that will trigger the honeymoon phase and we wouldn't be able to keep our hands off each other. As tempting as you are, love, I'd rather not F you senseless in a deadly forest. And she says, I'm sorry, honeymoon phase? What is that? And he says, the transfer of magic between a mated pair of my kind acts as an aphrodisiac. It lasts for a few weeks on average. And she was like, I have agreed to absolutely none of that. And he says, why not? You mentioned you were unattached. We've gotten along quite well. The attraction is there. And I'm clearly strong enough to protect you. And I said, you know what? These are all valid points, sir. They're all valid points. I agree wholeheartedly with you. Go for it. So, again, she cooks him a fantastic meal that he just loves. Listen, she put the food down on him. He don't know what to do because he's just like, every time she cooks, he's like, man, this is amazing. And then they end up going into this town where apparently demons are there, but they have to wear collars.
Just so we touched, they already did make it to a temple.
Yeah.
And destroyed that. They before the alligator, they made it to the first temple.
Which was in her town.
Yeah, which is in her town. And they were able to break the chalice. And then they find out that there's more.
Yeah. Well, he does.
There's other temples. He does, yeah, because she was like, well, this isn't.
She was like, well, I destroyed this chalice. Good luck on your other 3. And he was like, the other 3? What do you mean?
He's like, you're mine until we're done with this. And he meant that in every way possible. So now they're on their way to the other temples.
Right. So this is the second city where the second temple, he goes there. There's demons there. And
sorry, guys.
There are demons there, and they were collars to show owners, and the collars basically keeps them in check so that they obey their masters.
And that if they do something crazy, they know whose demon that is to be held responsible.
Correct. And so I just know that I had another thing that I wanted to touch on.
I was just laughing at I'm reading my highlights. It's just so funny.
It is funny. So they go, and he was like, I'm not wearing no collar like a dog. And she was like, could you just work with me so we can get to this temple and do what we have to do? And in this time, you guys, they are they're talking. They're basically talking about how his life is living with other demons in Antarctica. And what she grew up on and how they viewed demons and what they thought demons were. And so when they get to the town, he finally puts on the collar to symbolize that he belongs to her, because that's the only way he can get around. And then on her way to the temple, before she gets help from the, what do you call it? I guess the hotel personnel.
It's like a hostel, I think.
Yeah, but she's the owner.
Yes.
She's like, why are you helping demons? And she was like, well, they can think, they can talk. They're not all bad. This is
the owner
just been told.
Hears them talking, and she was like eavesdropping through the door.
Yeah, because in the city they don't talk. The demons that they know, they're around
because they're still under the curse.
Correct.
They're still under the curse, so they have no control over themselves. So she's eavesdropping at the door and hears Cinnamon and Fallon arguing about putting the collar on. And when they open the door, they catch her, and she was like, he could talk. And then that's when, like what Collette was saying, she starts explaining, like, hey, they like, talk, they think.
And then she was like, okay, I'll help you. And Fallon was like, why would you help us? She was like, because I would hope that if someone knew that I was under a curse, they would try to help me. Mm-hmm. He was like, okay, you good people. Come on with it. So they go. They make a plan. They Fallon and the hostel lady, they end up going on a separate trip by themselves. She's acting like she's selling the spices for Cinnamon. Cinnamon is walking around the town because she has to go like a different way and act like a tourist to get into the temple so that she can get the chalice. Mm-hmm. On the way to the temple, she comes across this guy who is beating a werewolf for his hide.
Yep, to get him to turn.
Beating her, and he was like beating him, and was like, "I want you to turn so I can strip you of the hide." And she felt that. She was like, "I'll buy him from you." And so she gives him the cinnamon, and she was like, "Look, obviously the cinnamon works, and it gets him out of the curse, and he can communicate." And she was like, "Look, I'm buying you, but I'm helping you. I understand that you're under a curse. I'm not trying to make you a slave. Once we get out of here, I can go ahead and, set you free." And then the guy was like, "Okay, well, if you buy him, you have to also buy the lamia." The lamia is like a snake / human, a humanoid snake. I don't know how else to explain it.
I would say like Medusa without the snakes on the head.
Yeah. And so she gets both for a deal. She goes off. She gives the cinnamon to the little snake guy as well. And he almost kills her. And then the werewolf was like, "Hey, she's freeing us. This is our savior. Chill out." And so he lets her go. And this is the part that I wanted to read. She was like, "You can come along. We're trying to break this chalice," because they're aware. They know it's a curse. The demons know it's a curse. And she was like, "You can come along. We're trying to break this other chalice. I already have my other friends over there waiting for me. We're on a journey." She was like, "But under no circumstances am I ordering you to do anything. You are wholeheartedly free. You can do what you want to do." And they were like, "No, we'll come." The Lamia says, "We Lamia have hunted the dreams of men since the time of the ancients. The grandchildren of those who hurt me will weep at the sound of my name after I throw them in the pyre of my hatred and dance in the rain of their ashes." She says, "That's beautiful. We should go." It was the way he said it, like, "Oh no, I'm gonna help you so I can kill everybody." And she was like, You're weird, but okay, that's cool. Come on, I get it." So they go to the second temple. That one is a little bit longer. It doesn't go without a hitch. They end up fighting. And this is when we found out that Fallon is a what? Dun dun dun.
Dragon.
A dragon, y'all. But like one of the what do you call it? Chinese dragons, the ones without the wings, they're more snake-like. They have the whiskers.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever go to like the Chinese festivals, you see those.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of those. And then he burns everything because he likes to burn things because he's a dragon.
Now, I want to interject.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the werewolf, who I love. I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, and he was a really good friend.
His name is Felix. So I thought that was bonus because my brother's name is Felix.
Aww.
And he was so funny. I just wanted to point that out because I was looking at my notes.
Yeah.
So we're at the temple. And this is when we found out he was a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And so we know when they go to break the chalice, orcs and stuff come out of the chalice and they're under her control. They're also demons from their, I forgot, it's like vlog stat or something like that is where the demons live. That.
Mm-hmm.
And, so they're teasing. Felix and I forgot the Lamia's name.
I can't remember, John.
Everybody's watching this dragon just destroy the town.
Yeah.
Because she did get messed up during this time. During the fight, she got messed up. So he's destroying he's destroying the city. And Felix is like, you need to go get your mate. You need to go get your man. You need to go get your dragon. And she's like, what are you talking about? That's not my dragon.
Mate.
He is fine, but that's not my mate. Stop, guys. So he's like, no, you need to go stop him because he will. At this point, they already won. And they're like gathering forces.
Yeah.
They're gathering because now people are like, wait. She's a good guy. She saved us. And they
end up stealing a ship because the lady that works at the hospital.
Her name.
Yes.
Yes.
She has sailed on a ship before, so she knows. She was like, I'm going to be wanted. So we need to steal a ship and go. So when they steal the ship, there are other demons on that ship. And since the curse is broken, they're now free. They can communicate and everything. And they're basically around her like, hey, girl, what's up? Let me talk to you real quick. Yeah. Now, mind you, Fallon is burning down the city. As soon as some other men come sniffing, he comes over there real quick. Who are you? I will kill you. Like, you have to calm down. You have to calm down.
Nobody, it's okay. She's yours. She's yours. And then he just swoops her off her feet and flies her to this Coliseum kind of suite thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I want somebody to fly me to a Coliseum suite thing. That seems fun. Anyway, while they're there, she's like, oh, I need to bathe. We're all cruddy. We're all dirty. So what does the dragon do? He bathes her. He gets in with her. Y'all already know where this is going. Yeah. So, and then we go into the lovey-dovey. Actually, I want to talk about that. Collette, you write these scenes so well. No, honestly, the spicy scenes, she did really well. She did use a word that me and Collette are not a fan of. But she wrote the spicy scenes very well for the type of book that it is. I really...
Yes. Yeah. And I love that it wasn't a focal point. So you don't get pages on pages on pages.
It's to the point with some fluffiness.
Right.
And then we move on.
Right.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Kimberly Lemming. Shout out to you.
But when we're here and they're in the little mix of their little rub-a-dubbing, because that's all it is, because they don't go all the way.
Yeah.
And he was like, no. When you're my wife type of thing. Yeah. Yeah. And she's like, you want me to be your wife, but you threaten my family. And he's like, semantics.
Semantics.
That's Collette.
Semantics. When I read that in the book, I was like, yo, she's been listening to all my conversations because I'm good for semantics. That's no. And he was like, look, there was the only way I can get you to come with me. It wasn't like I was really going to do anything. And he was like, you know, I would never harm you or your family.
So now they go to the ship. And Usha is the captain and they make Cinnamon the captain. She's like, hold up.
She's like, I don't want that responsibility.
I didn't even want to go on an adventure. Captain sounds like there's responsibilities tied to it. I don't want it. She's like, oh, then you could be, I forgot what she called, like co-captain.
First mate.
She's like, oh, what does that do? Oh, you're responsible for this. She's like, that still has responsibilities. She's like, look, girl, you're just going to have to do it. She's like, okay. So they figure out life on the ship. They're floating along. They have a whole crew with them now.
Yeah.
And everybody's respectful. There is no drama between the demons. Different species of demons, no drama. Everybody's just getting drunk. Because what's the first thing they put on the book? They raided all the bars. They raided all the liquor stores. They took all the liquor and put it on the boat. That's the first thing they put on there.
That's crazy.
So they're all drunk. They're all having a great time. It's all great, fine, dandy. Then they're on their way to the temple and they see a boat. And they're like, oh, we're going to raid this boat. We're going to take all the stuff. We're going to be pirates. Yay!
Wait.
Yeah.
You went too far.
No.
Yeah. Something else happened before that.
What did I miss before that?
She finally agrees.
No, not yet. That's afterwards because he's so tired. Him and the other dragon are so tired and they're on the beach. While they're on the ship is when they talk, Felix and Usha and and they're like, you just need to
Yes, let's read that.
I thought there was some type of battle or something. I'm like, no, we're about to go into it.
So
I had a quote she wanted to read.
Yep. So she was like, oh please, what did I screenshot? Oh, okay. So she says, look, you guys, I'm really feeling him. I'm thinking about being his mate, and what should I say? And Usha is just like, girl, don't be passive. She was like, I'm just gonna go up to him and say, hey, we can be mates. Yay. And Usha was like, no, that's too passive. Look, just go up to him, grab him by the collar, and say, you need bed now. And then the werewolf looks at her and he's like, okay, so maybe something a little less aggressive than that. He was like, and this is why I loved him, because Felix was really solid. He
love him.
Yeah, he really solid. He says, tell him that despite the fear and uncertainty of the path you're on, your desire for him burns hotter than the fires of his magic. Tell him you love him and need him, and that you want to care for him for the rest of your days. And everybody's at the table like,
do that.
Beautiful. Do that.
Do that. Do that.
Yeah. So she goes and she freezes. She was like, hey, what you doing in the room by yourself? He was like, I'm just chilling. You want to go to bed? And she was like, no, I'm just gonna go eat now. Bye. And leaves. She completely bitches up. She doesn't do it. She gets drunk, goes back to the room. She wakes up the next morning. He's there. Yeah, she does agree to be his mate the next morning. And so they agree, and he marks her. Right there on the neck. Yeah. And he transfers magic to her, and then they come knock on the door. Hey, there's a ship. Can we raid it? She's like, whatever, because at this point, like he told her, when I bite you, it's like an aphrodisiac. So she's just like, hey, we need to get busy. And he was like, I feel like I should go help them.
We can't leave them by themselves.
And she was like, no, I'm horny, like now.
And he's like, no, the same way I had to wait
is the way you have to wait. He did it on purpose.
He got her all hot and bothered.
He did it on purpose. She was like, you did it on purpose? He was like, maybe. And he leaves.
Leaves.
Jerk.
So then we come up to this ship, and she comes out on top, and she's like, wait a minute. This is going really well. Nobody's fighting. They're giving us all their stuff. And then she sees this tall man.
With silver hair.
With silver hair coming on. She's like, wait a minute. This is, we're set up. They set us up. And sure enough, this big, tall dude is a dragon as well. Starts messing everything up.
Yep.
Messing everything up.
And so they're fighting. Fallon and the other dragon are fighting.
Oh, and her horses can now fly.
Oh, yeah. They run into accidents or something, child. Yes, the horse's name is Smash and Crash.
There's two. One is Smash and one is Crash.
Oh
and then
God.
Now they can both fly, because also, once he marked her, he transferred magic into her. And if she would have been a demon, she would have transferred her magic into him. But since she's human, some of his magic, but it does take a bit of time for it to kick in, like a year or so, he said, a few years. And he's a shadow daddy, guys, just so you know.
Yeah.
For all those girlies out there that like them shadow daddies. He's a shadow daddy.
So the dragons are fighting.
Mm-hmm. And she jumps on the dragon's back.
Yeah.
Because that's a man.
Over here messing with my mate. And I ain't get the bone yet. So.
Yeah.
It's not going to
go at least get the one night first. Yeah. So they're fighting, flying through the air, because she used one of her flying horses to get on his back. Mm-hmm. And they end up crashing on a beach, on an island.
Oh, that dragon had
wait. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we gotta. She realizes that one of the chalices is tied in his mane.
Yeah.
So that's what makes her jump on the dragon to get it to smash it. And she does that. And in the process of that, the dragon snaps out of his super. Yeah. And because she realized the chalice was on there when she tried to attack him with the cinnamon and it didn't do anything. She's like, wait, what? Why did nothing happen? And that's when she realized the chalice was in his mane. So she jumps on. She ends up breaking the chalice. He snaps out of it and he's about to crash because he's so tired because Fallon let her know, like, I could be in my dragon form, but I get tired. Like, the older I am, the longer I could be in there and hold that form. But he's not that old. But this dragon was super old, so he was able to gain his composure and do a soft crash landing on this beachy private island.
Pretty much.
From there, both of the dragons knock out. Mm-hmm. Because they're tired. They have to recoup. So she goes and starts collecting food. And she's like, oh my God, this is plentiful here. There's so much. Oh my gosh. And then Fallon wakes
There's a little paradise.
And Fallon's like, hey. Go ahead, Collette.
And so he was like, hey, girl, come on. Go on these bushes over here. So they walk over to this beautiful waterfall and they get busy. There was something I wanted to touch on. Oh no, that came after the fact. Okay, so yeah, they get busy. And they're walking back to the camp. The ship finally finds them because the ship had lost them because the dragon.
Well, she caught them. Usha caught them in the middle of it. And she tells everybody on the ship,
found
them! Get on! And everybody starts to cheer.
And they cheered or whatever. So the older dragon, the 700-year-old dragon, ends up taking them to the last temple, which is on Antarctica.
Right by their gate, where all the demons are. And they're like, we got to be strategic about this because she already knows that we're coming after her. So she's gaining.
And it's the last one.
She has demons that are going to help her protect this mountain because it's on the top of a mountain or something.
Correct.
So they're like, we got to be sneaky.
Yeah.
And they find this ravine that they're able to take up.
Yes. And they end up going. And then when they reach, she's riding on top of her dragon. And look down, and lo and behold, it's her ex-boyfriend and the other heroes from her town. And they are perfectly kept. No
Nothing's
dirt,
wrong
no
with
mud.
them. They look great.
Very perfectly coiffed.
Her little city, her little town enemy, forgot what her name is, Priscilla Victoria, one of those.
I'm saying Priscilla.
Priscilla, right?
Yeah.
She's one of those, she has a pink sword, she has pink armor, she's all, think Paris Hilton.
Yeah. Think Sharpay.
Ooh, yes. That's a good one. Yes.
Think Sharpay.
Yes.
So, they're there and they were like, what are you doing here? And her little punk ass ex-boyfriend talk about some, look, I know you're upset. No, he says, hey, sweets, what are you doing here?
And he loses his shit.
He said, who you calling sweets? Hold up. So he's ready to burn him. And so she jumps in front of him. She's like, wait, stop. They don't know. Let me explain. And he's looking like, are you protecting your ex-boyfriend? Like, no, I'm protecting people that don't know that demons are under a curse. Let me explain it. And while she's doing that, it's 4 of them. One of them has an arrow and shoots at one of the demons. And Fallon looking like, move out the way. So he go burn him. And she's like, no, you guys, you can't do that. Da, 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 da. They get into an argument. And then she was like, F it. I'm going to take out the archer. She does. Because she takes out the archer, the other demons that are with her, they start attacking or fighting them. But she's like, hurt to maim, fight to maim. Don't kill them. They don't know. And she runs into the temple with Usha. Mm-hmm. And then they fight. I mean, they fight. That's what they do. And then she finally finds a way. How did she get out of there?
Well, they beat Maeva.
Yeah, but how did they get out of the temple is what I'm saying. Oh, her magic kicks in. They couldn't get to the chalice because
like, I'm gonna make it work. I know he said years. Yeah, but it's gonna come in.
She taps into her magic because he was the shadow daddy. Because when they were on the ship going to the mountain or whatever, he created like mist and everything, and everybody's like, I can't see. And she was like, what are you talking about? It's right there.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you can see through my magic. He's like, your magic is kicking in. You're actually working faster than normal. So at the temple, she was like, well, since I can see through the magic, let me see if I can tap into it and actually use it. So she's in the temple. She uses the mist thingamajiggy. So Maeva can't see her. She gets to the chalice. She destroys the chalice. And when she destroys the chalice, then she has to go up against the the demagogue. She has to go against the big bad, which is Maeva. So she has to actually kill Maeva. And then at that point, they're out of there. And he is just, they walk out, and the three heroes are so dumb. So dumb. Because they're just like, you killed her. And I was like, bitch, we just explained to you. You hear these demons talking to you.
So dumb that Fallon is like, or it was Felix or the Lamia. One of them was like, I see why she picked your kind. To bamboozle.
Exactly. Because he was like, what are you saying? Like, you literally just saw what happened. So, they get into a fight still, and her ex-boyfriend was like, I'm gonna attack. And Fallon cuts off his arm. Like, no, you ain't taking shit. That's my mate. Touch her if you want to. Play with yourself or play with something safe. Don't do that. So he attacks, and then he comes back about to burn him, and she jumps in front of him again and was like, don't do it. And he gets upset. So he just snaps her up, and they fly off.
And they're both asleep.
Yeah.
For 3 days.
He puts her to sleep.
Yeah. He's like, sleep. She was like, I'm an independent woman, but I'll listen.
Yeah. He puts her to sleep. So they fly back to the little island place.
Because she said she wanted to go back there for a whole month, a week.
He was like, we can come back here for a honeymoon, which I thought was funny because he was like, we don't have those customs. If I mark you, you're my wife. That's just how that works. And he was like, but we can do the human customs if you want. She was like, yeah, I know you go to the temple and then you have paperwork. And he was like, well, what do you do with the paperwork? She was like, I don't know. He was like, see, this is why humans were taken advantage of. I was like, don't do that. So they go back to the island, and he basically knocks her out, builds a whole house for her with a jacuzzi, because when they went to the first city, they had running water and they can heat the water. And she was like, oh my God, I wish I could have one of those. So he made that for her.
All of it. Because he was able to do that because he took Maeva's magic when he killed her. So with that, he lets Cinnamon know, like, listen, I can build you whatever you want now. Anything you want, I can build it for you. And he built her a mansion by the waterfall with the plumbing, with the tub. Actually, this is the first book that I've read like this that they didn't build a library.
Yeah. And so she was like, how long was I out? He was like, a few days. And she was like, okay, we have to go. He was like, you said you wanted to be here for like a month for our honeymoon. I don't see why we can't extend it to like 3 months, 6 months, And she was like, you can't keep me here because you're scared, of someone attacking me. He was like, but someone did attack you and I almost couldn't save you. He was like, if I hadn't cut his arm off, you would have been dead, because he tried to kill you trying to save Maeva, even though we told him Maeva was bad. And so she was like, I understand that, but he was unaware. And then he's getting mad because she's like, why are you defending your ex? And I was like, I'm not defending my ex. I'm explaining to you the logic so you can understand. He's like, I don't care. I don't care about any of that. My thought process is to keep you safe. I love you. And I was like, is that the first I love you?
So cute.
So
I really
cute.
enjoyed this book.
Yeah. And then he ends up making her like a medallion or some shit that protects her.
That protects her so they could go off and do things.
Yeah.
And then we go home.
Pretty
To the
much.
family, and everybody's so happy to see her.
Yeah.
And she lives, because she does tell him at one point before she accepts, she was like, because he asks her, like, why is it so hard? And she was like, well, I like to live a quiet, peaceful life, drinking by the creek. Yeah. And he's like, well, I've never done any of that, but I would like to. And then that's,
Yeah. So they get their happily ever after. And then the next book is going to follow Bree.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, this was a really good book. It was the commentary, the banter between the two was so funny. It was a satirical fantasy. Like she took all the fantasy elements and just cracked on everybody. That's essentially
it was great. The way she did it, great. I will. Yeah. I'm so excited to read the next one, but I'm not going to read it for a little bit because it's spooky season.
Yes, and all of these books are available on Kindle Unlimited.
Yes, all of them. Collette did good with this series. She really did. I'm expecting a book bestie vacation with all the proceeds from all the books that you've written, Collette.
But yeah, you guys, we would highly recommend it. I give it 4 stars. It wasn't 5 stars just because I don't know.
Yeah, I gave it 4 stars as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was still a solid book. It was funny. Yeah. The story made sense. The plot made sense.
To me, 4 stars is great. I don't know how people do, because I was talking to Alana, which is my daughter. She was telling me, like, if she rates a book 3 stars, it was garbage. And I'm like, really? Like, 3 stars for me?
Yeah, 3 stars
for me. I'm like, I liked it. It wasn't the best book I've read, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. I was able to finish it.
Yes, 4 stars for me is above average. 5 stars is stellar.
Yes.
So 3 stars for me, even 3.5 stars, that is an average book. Like, I wasn't blown away. It was something that I enjoyed, but it wasn't like mind blowing. I would recommend it, but it's not something I think off the top of my head. When they say, can you recommend me a book? It's not a book I would think about.
Yes. And I laughed so much. So that to me gets a whole star. Out loud. Over and over. That my family was like, what happened? Oh no, it's the book. I don't know how many times I said that while reading this. It's funny. It's really funny. And I would bet that even listening to it on audio would be funny too. So, guys, Kindle Unlimited. Yeah. Read it if you want to laugh. We did, both of us. I don't know how many times I FaceTimed Collette because she finished the book before me. That I FaceTimed and I'm like, girl.
Yep.
Did you? So read it. It's great.
But you guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. If you come to the end, leave a smiling demon emoji in the comment.
And maybe there might be some type of surprise if you do.
But as always, you guys, like, share, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.